So in this video, I want to compare the new Nike Air VaporMax 2020 Flyknit to the original Flyknit version here back from 2017. And just see some of the small evolutions that they made to the VaporMax. This is the first time that we've seen a new outsole, as far as I know, on the VaporMax. So it's like the second version of VaporMax technically from the ground up. So let's go ahead and get into this comparison video. What is going on, guys? Hess here, collectivekicks.com. If you guys haven't seen my website before, basically just post a bunch of sneaker deals to Nike.com and Adidas and Finish Line and Foot Locker, those type of sites. So feel free to browse through my best deals of the week at any given time. Always in the description. Also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at heskicks if you guys want. So I did a review of these already, just kind of my first initial thoughts of the VaporMax 2020. If you haven't seen that video yet, you might want to go check it out. I really like this shoe, however, there's some things I don't like. One of the things is the lockdown. I think that this is going to break over time because it's pretty cheaply made. So the main story about these sneakers is really just the recycled materials. They use over 50% recycled materials to create the shoe. Recycled polyester and plastics, as well as some of the rubber, as you could see, that's recycled on the bottom of the shoe here. So that's kind of a cool goal to have, like at least 50% of the shoe come from recycled waste. But the biggest change on the shoe that I really didn't hear too much talk about was the outsole. And maybe this was available on different models. Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, but this is the first I've seen of this new outsole from the VaporMax. And so I wanted to give it its own video just to really go over some of the differences, because it is quite a difference from the original one. And as you can see here, this is the VaporMax 2019. I actually dug this up from a box. I totally forgot I had these. They're in the corner in the wrong box. But you can see the outsoles are exactly the same, just smoked color versus the clear. And there are reinforcements in certain little sections of the shoe. There's about 5 pods of traction right here with rubber here, and then 2 on one side and then 2 on the other on the front of the shoe. So one thing that I've mentioned in the previous comparison videos with the VaporMax is this is a pretty revolutionary shoe because there is no midsole. It's just the upper. The midsole is the crazy air unit thing, but it's also the outsole as well, which is just very, very unique. So they kind of changed the game up for better or for worse with the VaporMax. And just for comparison, this is the Air Max 720s. I actually hydro-dipped mine, so this bubble is actually hydro-dipped now. But you can see there's actually a full support above the air unit bubble right here. There's actually a plastic. And then also on the bottom, this is rubberized in the middle as well. So really the Air Max 720s is a big, huge air bubble as well, but just done in a completely different fashion. The original VaporMax took it in a different direction. It's a little bit lighter shoe. It was supposed to be geared towards performance when it originally released, but honestly, this isn't a shoe that I could see anybody actually doing any physical activity in. It's just not a shoe that's very stable, and it has a really, really odd heel-toe transition because of all these different segments. So as I was mentioning, you have a horseshoe air unit here on the back and the heel. Then you have another little C right here for an air unit, and another C in the reverse way. And then there's 2 smaller ones here, and then one also at the toe. So you have, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different segments of air units that make up this crazy bulbous air unit looking thing on the original VaporMax. And this was something that people loved and hated. It was one of the most uncomfortable sneakers of all time from what you guys said on your polls that I did a video on just recently. I'm personally on the fence with it. It's not an uncomfortable shoe, but it's not like an amazingly comfortable shoe. It's just a really bizarre feeling on feet and one you have to get used to, and you can definitely say the VaporMax feel is unique. So you fast forward 3 years and now you have the VaporMax 2020, which, look at this outsole. They totally changed it up, and it is much, much different than the original one. So instead of having a giant U on the back, there's actually a big, huge like S almost, or number 2, depending on how you look at it, on the bottom. So it goes from here all the way up and around and then cuts back. So that's one air unit that comes up to where the second segment actually goes from the original VaporMax. So that's definitely a big change. Then right here, you can see it hooks in, and then you can see right here, it transitions to the next air unit into like a little C. And then this one's another C right here, staggered the other direction, and then one that finishes off the shoe up front. So if you look at the side view, it's actually less segmented than the previous one. It's one air unit that kind of comes up and swoops up this way. So visually, it looks a little bit different. So you can see right here, there's not as much of a gap from the original air unit to the new one because it swoops in and across right here. So it doesn't look as much of a gap. So it is interesting that they changed it up. They also did change up the traction patterns on the shoe as well. So there's one recycled material right here, and then this is where the other one was. So that one's fairly similar, but here's where they changed it on this one right here. You can see it overlaps, but there is the green one and then the pink grind right here. And then on the other one, there's 1, 2, and then 3, 4. 2 instead of 4 on the front section of the shoe, but I like that they staggered these up here just to make it so it actually kind of has the same effect. It just covers more space. If you look at this up close, you can see the little nibs on the bottom of the original VaporMax, and now they kind of smooth those out a little bit, so it looks like just an air unit with some slashes in it, really just to create a traction sort of effect. The one thing that kind of concerns me about the new VaporMax a little bit is you can see right here, it's actually a little bit more narrow than the original one. I don't love that it's like skinnier and smaller, like distance here to this one's a little bit bigger. I like the bigger platform personally just for myself because I have a wider foot. So not sure I'm on board with that more narrow look to the VaporMax. Honestly, I didn't feel too much difference in stability on the shoe because the regular VaporMax is so unstable, at least on my feet anyway, and just so awkward. And to answer the question that some of you guys may have is this one as awkward and weird as the first VaporMax? And I'd say yes, different awkward though. So the VaporMax in itself is just a weird, awkward shoe to be walking around in anyway. As I already mentioned, it's almost like a soccer cleat fit and everything else, but this one is differently awkward than this one, so I don't think that probably helps anybody at all, but I did notice it just felt a little bit different. Like the original one, you felt different segments as you went down and dropped from heel to toe. This one to this one was a big jump. You definitely felt that, and so they kind of elongated that right here on the new version. However, you still do feel like a weird little odd heel-toe transition. It's not as exaggerated as the previous model, but it's still like noticeable. Like if you put on this versus a different shoe other than a VaporMax, you're gonna go, yeah, that's a weird heel-toe transition. So this isn't as bad as the previous in my mind, but it's still different. As for fit of the VaporMax, I went true to size with the originals back in the day, and the new ones I also went true to size, and honestly they're a little bit snug, but I think that they're supposed to be, and I wouldn't want to get them too big and too loose, just specifically this model because of that weird bulbous outsole. Like on a comfort shoe like a Nike React, I can go up half a size and feel much better about that. For shoes like this, I'd rather go true to size and just have it fit just really more snug than what I'm used to. One other pretty big talking point about the shoe difference between these two is the weight of the shoe. This one is significantly more heavy than the original one, and part of it is because of this ridiculously large plastic build out that they did around for the heel support of the shoe. I don't know why they did that. I think they probably had to incorporate this lacing system that they did, which is the other big change that they did between this and the other models. You could see there's like a pull system here and then a release system here to release the laces. And honestly, I like the concept of it, but it's just not very functional, at least on these ones that I have. If you try to do this without them on your feet, you can't really release it very well. You have to put them on your feet to really properly release it. Otherwise, you could see right here, it just separates, and this is probably gonna break because of all the pulling on it incorrectly. But the other thing that's more important is when you do pull this down and tighten it, when it's actually on your feet, it doesn't tighten it like evenly. So I was getting one left side more tight than the right, and I was getting the top section more tight than the bottom. So I couldn't just evenly distribute the laces, which is something that's a little bit frustrating. Like I wanted to have them evenly distributed across my foot, and it just didn't happen. I like evolution in technology, but I also like it when it's functional, and in this case, it's not the most functional upgrade to the shoe, especially at that $220 price point. The original VaporMax was at $190, so these coming out and going $220 with the recycled materials and the new outsole. I mean, I get why they did that, because creating a new outsole and creating a new VaporMax ground up is definitely a lot more literally ground up. Haha, get it? That was a bad recycled joke. Anyway, I get why this is more expensive for them to create, but it sucks that they have to pass on that additional cost to us at that $220 price point. Also, they have other colorways that are $250, and I'm like, man, that's crazy. That being said, this other VaporMax right here was actually $250, and this one is like, people go crazy over this one, which is nuts, but it's a pretty cool looking shoe though. I have to admit, I love the additional tongue. This is the off-white version of the VaporMax from the 10 that I lucked out. This is like one of the last big hits I did on Nike's sneakers draw. But those ones were $250, and then the other colorways of these are $250. I'm not really there for that price. I'm hoping for $160. But you guys leave a comment in the comment section. What would you guys pay for the new VaporMaxes? Are you guys there for that $220 price? Did you guys try them out, and what do you guys think? Leave a comment and let other people know. Am I right or wrong about the odd comfort of the shoe? I think that the majority of the feedback from the previous videos, they're usually like, yeah, they're not very comfortable, or yes, you're right, they were squeaky on certain floors, or whatever it is. I think that most of my thoughts are pretty valid, but again, you guys can always weigh in the comment section and let other people know what you guys think. Overall though, are the changes worth that $220 price? If you like the newest, latest, and greatest stuff, and you don't really care overall comfort, quality, and everything else, you just want the latest and greatest, then of course, I think it's a great option. I personally have always been one of those people that really want to get the latest and greatest Nike shoes out. And so this is just another fun one to add to the arsenal. For the average person though, I think you guys would be better off going to like Nike's sales section. And actually I'll link a couple places in the description if you guys want to check it out, where to buy the VaporMax, just the other versions of the VaporMax that you can get with the original outsole. And these ones will be like close to $100. So if you're looking for something more affordable, less than $100 on the other colorways versus like the $220 on these, like it makes more sense to go with the other version. But again, latest and greatest. I do like the recycled look of the shoe. I think it looks pretty cool in hand and everything else. And all in all, I'm not mad that I bought them. And I do like the color of this one. It's just crazy. The purple and the blue and the thoughtfulness of the crazy color combinations actually worked well, in my opinion, on those ones. But I have quite a few VaporMaxes you can see out here, and it is a shoe that I love to hate, I guess, or hate to love. I don't know which is which. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. And if you guys are new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be notified of when my videos are posted. Have a good rest of the day, and hopefully we'll see you guys back for some more videos. Peace, guys.